Thank you so much for having us. You can see those songs and more at our concert on the 19th, right here. Thank you.
Good evening. Welcome to Carteret-Craven's 86th annual member meeting. I'm your board president, Amy Locke, and we all, on behalf of the board and the management team of Carteret-Craven and all the employees, we just want to thank you for being here. We want to thank you for taking the time to be here and taking the time to be engaged members of your co-op. Before we go any further, did everybody get enough to eat? All right, good. Full belly, full belly. All right, good. So then just settle back and relax. I hope you have an enjoyable and informative time. Don't go to sleep because these lights are really bright, but I can see you. Okay, so I'm looking. Tonight's theme for the meeting is Powered by You. These three words reflect who we are and how we operate. Carteret-Craven exists because of you, our members, and everything that we do is guided by your needs, your priorities, and our commitment to meeting the needs of the communities we serve. So tonight, I'll talk about how Powered by You shapes our commitment to providing reliable and affordable energy. But before we begin tonight's program, please stand for the invocation by Glad Tidings Pastor Tim Mariner, and then please remain standing after the prayer for the honor to to our country with the presentation of colors, the pledge, and the national anthem.
Let us pray together. Father, we thank you that you said that the greatest among you will be your servant. And Lord, we're here tonight to thank you for this great cooperative and for the thousands of homes and businesses and public facilities that they serve. We thank you, Lord, for this cooperative, and through light and power, they've enabled people to have a livelihood and enjoy their homes and raise their families and provide a respite, Lord, for visitors to the Crystal Coast. Today we take a moment and we ask you to continually bless them, bless the leadership, the employees, and especially these world-class linemen who work in heat and cold and wind and rain to keep Carteret County strong. And for all these customers and those who support this vital utility, we thank you for them as well. Lord, tonight we want to ask you for several things. First, Lord, we ask that you would place a covering over our area, protect us from foul winds and storms this fall so that we may prosper. But Lord, we will prepare, but you are the master of the wind. Secondly, Lord, we pray that somehow that the price of commodities and fuel and other goods would return to a level that would not hinder this cooperative or its customers. We also pray that you would keep this nation strong and free, and that all who would bring detriment to our republic would falter and return to the place of peace and civility. We ask our blessing on the President and our Senate, our Congress, our governor, our state and local leaders, and we pray especially for our troops tonight. We ask, Lord, that you would bless this meeting, bless all that are here, and we are privileged to come together this night, and we give you the praise for it. In the name of Christ our Lord, who died and rose again to give us life and life more abundantly. And we ask this in your precious name, and the people of God said together, amen.
Please remain standing, and at this time, the Western Carteret High School Navy Junior Reserve Officers Training Corps will present the colors. Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. The pledge will then be followed by the singing of the national anthem by the outstanding West Carteret High School singers. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. very talented students from West Carteret High School and Broad Creek Middle School for the excellent entertainment that you heard over here tonight. And thank you, West Carteret Junior ROTC, for the presentation of the colors. Now I'd like to introduce the people who are on stage with me tonight. Let's see, starting with, on my left is our CEO and General Manager, Jake Joplin. Beside Jake is our Board Attorney, Jamie Norman. And on the end is Treasurer and Past President, Ben Ball from District 2. I'll explain what the districts are. Ben's District 2 includes members living west of Highway 70, including co-op service area along Hibbs Road, Roberts Road, and 9-Foot Road, and along Highway 24 from Dutch Street Mobile Home Park west to the eastern limits of Cape Carteret. Seated to my right is Secretary Alvin West from District 9. Everybody knows Alvin. This board seat is held by a minority cooperative member that represents the entire cooperative service area. And then on the end, Vice President Jim Schmidt from District 3. Jim serves cooperative members in Craven County, which includes Havelock, Highway 101, Temples Point, Adams Creek Road, and Lake Road. And now seated in front, we have additional directors. First, Director and Past President Dee Irby from District 1. That includes all of Cape Carteret and Cedar Point, and then along Highway 58 north to Maysville in Jones County and part of Onslow County. Director and Past President Fred Fulcher represents District 4. District 4 represents the western end of Bogue Banks, including Pine Knoll Shores, Salter Path, and Indian Beach up to the town limit of Emerald Isle. And we have Director and Past President Doug Fulcher from District 6. District 6 covers the cooperative service area east and north of Highway 70 in Carteret County and west of the Intercoastal Waterway. And now we have Director Suzanne Guthrie from District 7. District 7 includes all the cooperative service areas east of the Intercoastal Waterway, or better known as Down East Carteret County. And then Director and Past President Tom Styron is District 8. District 8 is also an at-large district representation of all the co-op service areas. I want to mention that collectively across this board, not that I'm talking about age or anything, but we've got about 140 years of collective service to the Carteret-Craven Electric Cooperative. I also want to mention that in addition to the roles that your directors serve and your membership team serves, there are also other boards both related to co-op statewide and nationwide, as well as other volunteer organizations in the community. We're all about the community, as are you. And I did forget to introduce myself. So I'm Amy Locke, and I represent District 5, which is the western end of Bogue Banks, or also called Emerald Isle. While I have you, I just want to mention that it has been an absolute honor to serve as board president for the past 2 years and to work alongside a very dedicated group of directors, management team, and employees at Carteret-Craven. It's been an honor, and I have learned so much. I'm deeply grateful for the trust that you have placed in me, and I'm very proud of the work that we've accomplished collectively and that we're going to continue to do. I want to mention that we've been super busy for the last couple of weeks, so your board members join other co-ops across the nation, and I believe there's something like 900 co-ops across the nation, and we get together to advocate for policies that support safe, reliable, and affordable power. We were in Washington, D.C. last week, where over 1,500, shy of 2,000 cooperative leaders from across the nation descended on Capitol Hill to talk with our elected officials about policies that affect all of us from a day-to-day basis. We met with Senator Ted Budd, we met with Congressman Greg Murphy and Congressman Don Davis. Representative Davis was here earlier tonight, sends his regrets that he couldn't stay for the meeting, but definitely wanted to attend, and we had very positive meetings in D.C. And we also then met with the General Assembly and some of our guests tonight that I'll introduce in just a few moments in Raleigh. So we were able to meet with some of the legislators from the General Assembly. And when we go to these meetings, both in D.C. and Raleigh, our purpose is to explain how policies under consideration can help, but could also hurt our ability to provide safe, reliable, and affordable electricity to you, our members. And we prep. So we know what's going on in our monthly activities and from what we've learned in our role as directors with the co-op. But we prep so that when we go to DC or when we go to Raleigh, we are speaking with one voice. And we have asks. So we literally have cliff notes of things that we're going to ask for. We also, though, go with thank yous because we pay attention to what our elected officials say, and we pay attention to voting records, and we pay attention to how bills are forwarded. So one of the big things that we do is say thank you for the support that you have given us throughout your terms. Last year, for example, a thank you, we advocated for the Utility Worker Protection Act, which increases penalties for harassing or harming a utility worker. I'm happy to report that House Bill 258 was passed with bipartisan support. Over the past few years, there's been an increase in vandalism to electrical equipment. You may recall an incident in Craven County of copper theft last fall. Our legislators have taken action to increase the penalties for intentionally damaging utility equipment. It is now a Class C felony. Thank you very much. We're very, very grateful for the support of our legislators in helping keep our employees and our infrastructure safe. And if you would like to help us, you can play a role advocating for common sense solutions to ensure safe, reliable, and affordable power by joining Voices for Cooperative Power. More than 1.3 million co-op members across the country have joined this movement, and you can learn more by visiting www.voicesforcooperativepower.com. So again, I want to say thank you for being here tonight, for taking part of what is the governance of your cooperative. Now, I'd like to recognize a few more people. In the audience, we have Sue Hammond, who is the acting chair of the nominating committee. Hi, Sue, thank you. And we have Anthony Nelson, who is the chair of the credentials committee, credentialing elections. Also here tonight, mixed amongst everyone, is the members of the Carteret-Craven Electric Foundation. And serving on the foundation board this year are your fellow co-op members, Polly Johns, Robert Cox, Jack Dunaway, Bob Peoples, Sue Hammond, Ryan Taylor, Edna Kearney, Maxine Carter, and Billy Tillman. We thank you all for serving on the foundation board and for the diligence that you exercise in approving the grant request that makes such a large impact in our community. As I said last year, I'm very, very passionate about CCE's foundation. Since 1999, the foundation has distributed more than $4 million to organizations and programs to help make our community a better place. These are programs such as the Havelock Cherry Point Ministerial Association, Backpack Friends, Carteret County Literacy Program, the Bright Ideas Education Grant Program, the the co-op scholarship program, youth tour to DC, and many, many more. And later on, Jake will introduce this year's scholarship and youth tour winners. Funding for these programs is supported by you. It's made possible through your participation in Operation Roundup. So I'm going to ask you again tonight, if you're not already participating in Operation Roundup, please consider doing so. It's super easy. You can scan a QR code. Should be around right there. Scan that QR code, or just give us a call over at the co-op. The small change that you make is about $6 a year. Never more than $11.99 because it rounds up to the closest dollar. But that small difference, on average, $6 a year, turns into millions of dollars that go right back into the community. One of the best investments that I can think of. Now, we also have some other special guests that I'd like to introduce to you, and they are part also of the statewide cooperative network. CCEC works directly with these organizations to purchase power, materials, coordinate mutual aid, and advocate at the local, state, and national levels, and so much more. These individuals and their teams help us advocate on policy, leverage our buying power, and help us help each other during emergencies. So I've described before that we're a co-op, but we're also a co-op who are members of other co-ops, and there's about 3 or 4 or 5 across the state that we're actively involved in, and who are very critical to what we do. North Carolina Electric Membership Cooperative, NCEMC, is one of the largest generation and transmission electric cooperatives in the nation. It provides reliable, affordable electricity to each of its 25 member cooperatives, that's us, and CCE is one of those members. NCEMC owns power generation assets, purchases electricity through contracts, identifies innovative energy projects, and coordinates transmission resources for its members. We're very excited tonight that Amadou Fall, who is the Executive Vice President and CEO of NCEMC, is with us tonight, and Amadou will be speaking a little bit later. So welcome, Amadou. Also with us is Jim Muselik. Jim is the Vice President of Innovation and Business Development at NCEMC. His responsibilities include supporting North Carolina's electric cooperatives in meeting our Brighter Future goals by investigating, testing, and deploying innovative technologies and business models that promote beneficial electrification and sustainable technologies. And that sounds like a lot because it is. But to boil it down, one thing, for example, might be an efficient HVAC unit so that we can make recommendations. And that's a simple thing because a lot of it gets really, really complex and goes way over my head. But it makes a difference in how we can help you manage your electric consumption as well. And Jim, did I hear a rumor that you are now also a member of Carteret-Craven Electric Cooperative? All right. So we've got Jim there, and we've got Jim here. And then TEMA, which stands for the Tar Heel Electric Membership Association. That's a cooperative organization that provides materials and supplies needed to operate and maintain electric systems. It's owned by the members, us, as electric cooperatives. It's owned by cooperatives in North Carolina, but also cooperatives in Virginia and Maryland have reached out to TEMA to provide materials. So that includes things like transformers, poles, and lines. And TEMA also coordinates our mutual aid program. And we'll talk a little bit more about mutual aid later on in the program. With us is Jonathan Avery, who is the Director of Marketing and Technical Services for TEMA. Thank you guys for being here tonight. We super appreciate the partnership that we share with you. I'd also like to recognize some other special guests tonight. First up is Senator Bob Brinson. Senator Brinson represents residents of Craven, Lenoir, and Beaufort counties in North Carolina General Assembly. Thank you, Bob Brinson. Brinson has 3 counties. Senator Brinson, how many co-ops do you have in yours? You have 3 co-ops. Senator Brinson is also a member of Carteret-Craven, so he's on our member line as well. And we are delighted to have again Senator Norman Sanderson. Senator Sanderson, get ready for this, represents Craven, Carteret, Chowan, Halifax, Hyde, Martin, Pamlico, Warren, and Washington counties in the North Carolina General Assembly. That's 9 counties. So, Senator Sanderson, how many co-ops do you have? 6 co-ops. Right. That's beautiful. And then we also have with us tonight Sherry Hunt, who is our commissioner from Craven County. Commissioner Hunt, thank you. The thing that I want to stress about our guests is that they listen. They listen, they understand, and they appreciate co-ops. As you've seen, they live in districts where they have co-ops, and they also have direct, investor-owned utilities in their areas. But they know the difference between an investor-owned utility and a member-owned utility. We're member-owned, and that makes a lot of difference. So back to being powered by you. That means that we plan and we invest with your daily lives in mind. Reliability is not an option. It is absolutely essential. It means dependable service during hurricane season. It means preparation for high winds, flooding, extreme heat, severe storms, and even 16 inches of snow. It means restoring power as quickly and safely as possible whenever outages occur. Reliability is personal to everyone who works at the cooperative. Our line workers, dispatchers, and support teams live in the communities they serve. They understand firsthand what it means to lose power, and they take that responsibility very seriously. They train year-round. They respond around the clock, and they work in very challenging conditions to restore service safely. As an idea, in 2025, and this is a big deal, pay attention. In 2025, CCEC members on average experienced only 48 minutes of a power outage to your homes and businesses. I want to explain that part because nationally, CCEC performs better than 82% of all cooperatives across the nation. And remember, if there's 900 cooperatives, that's pretty high up in the rankings. And I know you appreciate that. I appreciate that. I'm sure you appreciate it because, in fact, the American Customer Satisfaction Score showed that in 2025, Carteret-Craven scored 92 against a national average of 76. And just as a sidebar, investor-owned utilities only scored 74. So we're 92, they're 74. But talk a little bit more about mutual aid and our winter storm. So in mid-January, CCEC sent several crews to our sister cooperative, Surrey Yadkin EMC, to assist with restoration efforts after the snow and ice storm that moved through Tennessee and western North Carolina. And then, as you all know, just a week later, we experienced historic snow event in our service areas. So in preparation for the storm on Saturday, CCE employees arrived at the co-op. They were ready to work, get ready to work through the storm. And while line crews were out working, the others at the co-op prepared meals, made sleeping arrangements for our visiting crews and the employees who were staying overnight to work around the clock, and answered calls from the members. The storm resulted in 62 outages that have impacted 1,455 members throughout the cooperative service area. We have 47,000. We have 38,000 members. Our meters, but 1,455 were the number of members that were affected. But here's the thing. These outages were actually caused by the demand that was put on the system due to the extremely cold temperatures. It was Saturday. People were home. They were cooking. We were doing laundry, playing video games, doing things that you do when you're at home on a Saturday. But that's the time that the demand went up. The HVACs that were running consistently and running so much created a load that was more than some of our transformers that serve your homes were even designed for. Our system peaked at 235 megawatts. That is one of the highest system peaks in our cooperative's 86-year history. These were treacherous conditions. It included snow-covered roads, gusty winds, whiteout conditions, and it limited access in some areas. It challenged restoration efforts. And during the most dangerous of conditions, a very difficult decision was made to bring crews off the road to ensure their safety before continuing restoration results. But in the cooperative spirit, crews from our sister co-op, Union Power, arrived ahead of the storm with their bucket trucks, and they were instrumental in safely restoring power to our members as quickly as possible. And I was told, so I checked, but if you ask line workers and engineers here tonight, that they would tell you that this was an absolutely extremely challenging situation, and that they would rather make repairs after a hurricane than in 16 inches of snow. So all I want to say is thank you for doing it all the time, and we give you applause. So before the storm, one of my neighbors asked, is the co-op getting ready for the storm? And I said, yeah. As a matter of fact, the co-op is getting ready year-round. While a snowstorm or a hurricane requires specific preparation, delivering reliable electricity across our service territory also requires constant attention and long-term planning. So, over the past year, Carteret-Craven has continued investing in substation upgrades, system improvements, replacement of aging infrastructure, upgrading poles and lines to withstand severe weather, and has invested in more advanced monitoring technology that helps us identify and repair outages as quickly as possible. Our dispatch center, for instance, knows when there's an outage before you call. The thing that's also cool is that you can monitor outages on the outage map. So if I go into our website, clicking on the outage map, you can see where the outages are, how many members are affected, and what the estimated time for repair is going to be. All these investments may not be visible, but they're made with one purpose in mind, and that is to deliver the reliability that you expect and that you deserve. We also prioritize right-of-way maintenance. That's one of the most effective ways to improve reliability. So let's take a moment to learn a little bit more about the cooperative's right-of-way program.
Hello, my name is Brent Toller, and I'm the Vegetation Management Coordinator here at Carteret-Craven Electric Cooperative. My job is to manage the trees and vegetation around our right-of-ways to keep power reliable for all of our members.
A right-of-way is a designated strip of land that allows the co-op to safely build, operate, and maintain power lines. This area may cross private property, roads, or open land. Right-of-way maintenance is completed so that power can flow safely and crews can access the lines when maintenance or repairs are needed.
Without a well-maintained right-of-way, restoration times would be significantly delayed. In our area, trees are the primary cause of power outages, especially during storms and hurricanes. Branches that contact power lines or tree failures can interrupt service, damage equipment, and create serious safety hazards. By managing vegetation before problems occur, we can reduce outages, improve safety, and restore power faster when severe weather hits. Over the past 3 years, our vegetation program has resulted in measurable improvements, including decreased outages, reduced response times for repairs, and fewer service orders for individual needs. Additionally, this initiative has enhanced safety for our members, employees, and contractors while providing a more cost-effective and efficient program. CCEC follows a planned multi-year right-of-way maintenance cycle. Our trained professionals inspect power lines, identify potential risks, and use industry-approved trimming methods to maintain proper clearances. We employ an integrated vegetation management strategy that incorporates the use of bucket crews, backyard machinery, climbers, mowers, giraffes or aerial trimmers, and herbicide applications.
We clear vegetation around primary poles, address vine growth, manage woody vegetation within the right-of-way, and remove hazardous trees where feasible.
This work is done with safety as the top priority for our members and employees and the environment. We know tree trimming can be inconvenient or concerning. That's why we make every effort to communicate in advance, respect private property, and follow professional standards that support long-term reliability. Our goal is to strike the right balance between appearance and the responsibility we have to deliver dependable electric service. A well-maintained right-of-way is one of the most effective tools we have to prevent power outages and restore power faster. By keeping power line corridors clear, the cooperative is protecting the electric system and delivering the reliable power our members depend on every day.
So as you just saw, right-of-way maintenance is not just about removing trees. It's about protecting the electric system that powers your homes and businesses and the essential services throughout our community. This proactive work is one of the many ways that Carteret-Craven delivers on our promise of reliability. It's how we prepare before a storm, reduce outages, and restore power more quickly when the severe weather hits. And our commitment to you is to invest and to plan and to act in the best interest of our members, and that's what it means to be powered by you. It's a key part of how we continue providing reliable electric power service to our communities and what you depend on every day. CCEC also works every day to manage the demands that are put on our system because we know that reliable electricity is the backbone of strong communities. It keeps our first responders connected, it keeps medical facilities, schools, and water systems running, it helps support local businesses and economic development, and it allows families to stay safe and comfortable in their own homes. So, there's something else I want to tell you about. When people find out that I serve on a board of directors for electric cooperative, first thing they usually say is, well, what are you doing to reduce my power cost? All right, and I get that. That's a fair question. And what I don't respond with first is that we are the lowest cost power provider of co-ops in the state, here in Carteret-Craven. So instead of telling people that first, because that would make me sound like I'm being defensive, right? The first thing I asked was, how many kilowatt hours per month do you use in your house? A lot of times people don't know, but that's a baseline question, because if I already know that we're providing the lowest rate in the state, there's no point in coming out with that. It's, well, how much power do you use? Because that's back to the part about demand. So how can we help you manage the demand, because we're certainly working on managing demand ourselves. So one of the things that you can do to help reduce demand and to lower your bill at the same time is working on the peak thing. And so, for example, did you know that by adjusting your thermostat for just a few degrees, either up in the summer or down in the winter, you can save around 7% on your energy bill each year? Now, by doing that, you help the cooperative reduce energy that's needed to meet the demand in the hottest summer afternoons or the coldest winter mornings. And that may not sound like a lot, but if you multiply that times 38,000 members, that number builds up a whole lot, and it helps control the wholesale power cost and to keep rates stable for everyone. That's the cooperative spirit. It's working together across communities for the greater good. And remember, when I explained that the outages during our winter storm were caused by demand. So demand ends up being a big factor. So you can enroll, and I encourage you to enroll in the co-op's voluntary Beat the Peak program. And I say voluntary because as our co-ops and statewide are watching the peaks and watching demands on our system and on our grid, we send out text, and it says, we've got a big demand coming. You can beat the peak. How about lowering your thermostat just a couple of degrees? We don't do it for you. It's optional. You get the text, and you can say, okay, I'm going to lower it. It's not going to kill me. I'll lower it. And you will help us flatten that peak and soften up some of the demands that are going on in our system. It's a community cooperative spirit kind of thing. And you can do that by scanning the QR code on the screen or calling a co-op, and we'll explain and walk you through it. As energy use grows and the ways we use energy changes, your cooperative and our commitment is to reliability and to keep that reliability constant. We're planning for the future by strengthening our grid, by embracing new technologies, and making smart investments that balance reliability, affordability, and long-term sustainability. And you're going to hear a little bit more about some of those projects later in the program. And the point is that every step forward is guided by the same principle. Carteret-Craven Electrical Cooperative is and always will be powered by you. Okay, in the program you received when you registered tonight, you'll see some of the 2025 financial statement, and I want to highlight a few points. In 2025, the cooperative had revenues of more than $80 million and provided energy to more than 46,700 accounts. We connected 626 new services and maintained 1,195 miles of overhead power lines, 1,304 underground power lines, 63 miles of transmission lines, and the balance between overhead and underground has tipped. Underground lines increased by 18 miles in 2025. If you look at last year's expenses, you will see that the majority of costs are for electricity that we buy for your homes and your businesses. We work hard to control those costs and to provide the best power service available. As I've said, we're not investor-owned, we are member-owned. We don't answer to shareholders, we answer to you. As a member owner of the cooperative, you are entitled to a share of excess margins, which is based on the amount of electricity you use. These margins are allocated to each member's account in the form of what we call capital credits. Last year, we were able to return more than $3,500,000 in margins to current and former members of the electric co-op. That's another benefit of being member-owned versus investor-owned. Now, I'd like to now call on Secretary West to report on a matter of quorum and to present the minutes of last year's annual meeting for your approval.
Thank you, President Lott. Good evening once again. President Lott, there are 488 members registered, which constitutes a quorum for conducting this meeting. The minutes of the 2025 annual meeting were mailed to members in May edition of Memory News. I would like to offer a motion that the minutes be accepted as written.
Thank you. So we have a motion that the minutes of the 2025 annual meeting be approved as written. Do I hear a second? Awesome. We have a second. Is there any discussion before I call for a vote? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Good move. All right, the motion carries. Now, Secretary, it's going. Now, Secretary West will now read the notice of the annual meeting and attest to the mailing thereof, unless there is a motion to dispense with the reading. Do I hear a motion? Thank you. Do I hear a second? All right. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. motion carries. Thank you, Alvin.
Thank you all.
He didn't really want to read 3 pages of minutes. Okay, I now will call on Anthony Nelson, who is the chair of Credentials and Election Committee, to come forward for the purpose of declaring the registration closed.
Madam President, registration for the 2026 annual meeting of the membership is hereby closed.
Thank you, Chairperson Nelson. All right, at this time, I would like to welcome Amadou Fall, who is the new Executive Vice President and Chief Executive Officer of North Carolina NCEMC. And as Amadou is making his way up to, you can come all the way up here, buddy. And you gonna bring that? Okay.
I'm gonna bring this one.
While he's making his way up, I will let you know that Amadou is a self-avowed energy geek. And because he's an energy geek and he knows a lot of stuff, we've had to put a limit on him so that he can only talk for 5 minutes. Strict rules.
I thought it was 8 minutes.
Oh, no. Before beginning in his role as Chief Executive Officer and Executive Vice President, Amadou served as the Chief Operating Officer of NCEMC, which is NCEMC's generation and transmission organization. He did that since 2021. Then prior to joining North Carolina's electric cooperatives, Amadou was the CEO of National Renewables Cooperative Organization, a role that he held after his time in leadership roles with ACES Power, where he managed regulatory, scheduling, and transmission services for the portfolios of ACES members and customers. He has extensive experience in diverse energy portfolio management, risk management, transmission modeling, congestion analysis, and renewable energy. When we were, my first trip to DC some years back, we had a schedule of the various members that we were going to be meeting with, and there were some others after we did our meetings that I wanted to meet with, and I wasn't sure how to go about it, but I looked at the grid and I saw that on that schedule, Amadou was the leader that was going to be meeting with some of the elected representatives that I really kind of wanted to sit and listen to too. So I asked Amadou if I could come along and follow him. He graciously said yes. The thing about it was, walking the halls of Congress in DC is a little overwhelming, and I knew that if I was looking for Amadou, I would probably not have a hard time finding him in a crowd. Another way of saying that is, I know as long as I keep my eyes on you, I will never lose my way. And with that said, you can take just as long to speak as you would like.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, President Locke. And there's a reason why I grabbed this, and I'm just going to let you guess. All right. So because of that, I've had, I usually just go for the microphone, and it's a lot easier for me anyway. So let me start by saying thank you very much. As President Locke said, my name is Amadou Fall, and I am the Executive Vice President and CEO for North Carolina Electric Membership Corporation. We also go by NCEC, which stands for North Carolina Electric Cooperatives. And that really means something. We are also known, you're going to have to take a test after this, we're also known as the statewide organization. And the reason being is that we actually have 3 organizations that come under the NCEC banner. One is what President Locke just mentioned, which is the GNT, the Generation and Transmission Organization, which I was the COO for. We have another organization, and you heard TEMA, which is the Tar Heel Electric Membership Association, and their materials as well as mutual aid on organization. And then the third one we have, which was the one that was very effective and the one that helps us when it comes to putting forth our issues in front of Congress as well as the North Carolina General Assembly. That's the North Carolina the North Carolina Association of Electric Cooperatives, and they do more than that. They also provide a lot of the survey, and you heard about the ACIS scores, so they're known for that, and they're the ones that also put out. How many of you are familiar with Carolina Country? There you go, and it's a nationally recognized magazine that they put out, and that really represents the beating heart of our organization, which is you, our members. So I'm gonna try and stay within 5 minutes. So and I have a tendency to go off track. So let me just kind of get into it. Well, first and foremost, as I said, very honored to be here in beautiful Morehead City and to be part of this program. But the one thing I do want to say before I get more into our statewide organizations and how we work together is really acknowledge the fact that we are dealing, you all are our members, and across the country, you're all dealing with very challenging times when it comes to essentially affordability. If I was here 2 years ago, I would have been focusing more on reliability. And that was even in the face of COVID and the cost inflations that came out of that. But now here we are in affordability and the impact that it's having on you, and we are very well aware of that. So before I get into all that we're doing, I do want to turn and say that you all know that you are members and owners of Carteret-Craven Electric Cooperative. Carteret-Craven Electric Cooperative, and it sounds like I'm better off just to say CCEC because I'm sure I'll get tongue-tied. So CCEC is part of our overall network cooperative, 26 of them across the state. CCEC is, as you all know, the one that is providing you reliable power. It's also a member of the community and supports the community. And they're essentially there for whatever you might need for them to do. I'm sure in these times you all are wondering who's looking out for you. Well, as a member owner, you all, CCEC, along with the other 25 cooperatives, are effectively looking out for yourself because we're a member-owned entity and we're not-for-profit. Let me just emphasize that, not-for-profit. So we're operating at cost, and anything that goes beyond cost is what you see in terms of capital credits. So you all are essentially looking out for yourselves along with the other 25 electric cooperatives. Now, that is what allows us to do certain things. And this is where the statewide organization comes in. The statewide organization coordinates with those 26. And that coordination involves things such as touched on earlier, wholesale power and how we get it. Our portfolio, as we call it, is made up of generation fleets as well as purchase power. And there are many other aspects to that that goes with us managing that. We are guided by our 26 members in terms of how we move forward. And to give you an example of that, I'm going to show my age. So almost 40 years ago, and a little bit of, sorry, I'm actually going to go past my 5 minutes now. So I started my career as an engineer in the electric IOU world, and I was actually a nuclear engineer. So nuclear is very dear to my heart. 40 years ago, this cooperative and its members actually took the bold step of investing in a nuclear plant, one that is located out of Charlotte. Imagine at that time, it was highly controversial. And it was during, hate to say deja vu, but it was also during an oil crisis at that time. So rising costs. They took the bold step, and we would not know the results of that until years later. We come to where we are now, and that nuclear generation, along with the other resources that we either own or purchase, they're essentially the bedrock of maintaining or stabilizing our costs. 24/7 resource that is helping us maintain and stabilize our costs. Now, here we are today, and as I mentioned earlier, challenging times when it comes to energy costs. So what are we doing? Well, we're facing not just the need for resources, but skyrocketing demand. There's advanced manufacturing large load that is really coinciding at the same time with aging infrastructure from a resource standpoint, retirements. So we're at a point where we have to make some hard decisions. And the way we're going to do it is what we did 40 years ago. And even back to the foundation of cooperatives, where you all got together collectively and created CCEC. And that was done for the same purpose that our GNT, our statewide, was created. So we have some hard decisions that we're making, and we've taken steps. We've worked together, okay? Just to give you a sense, our industry is an industry that does long-term planning. It's an industry that looks out for on a long-term basis. And now we're confronted. Based on all that, it means we sometimes take a decade of planning to get to where we are. And that decade of planning that we have been embarking on has allowed us to invest and get at least slightly ahead of the curve and invest in what I would say the newer kind of base load, which is natural gas. We've been fortunate enough to do that, and we still have more that we're going to do. But it's that collective effort that ultimately is what we're doing and what CCEC and the other cooperatives are doing to help and manage the costs. Not to say the costs won't rise, but that is the effort that we're putting together. The other thing that we do, and CCEC represents that, is that cooperatives, by the very nature of it, have needed to be innovative. We have been a very innovative organization. We've done things, as you heard, Jim is here. Jim heads up the Innovation and Business Development Group. As part of that, he's looking at essentially, heat pumps. Well, heat pumps, as we know, and we heard about the, call it the high loads we had. Well, it's heat pumps, current technology, tend to get to a certain point, they saturate, and then what happens is you get these electric strips that come on, and those can just keep rising forever. Well, there's new technology that Jim and his team are looking at that's showing that, and that's all driven by the temperature. That's showing that even down to sort of what happened in 16 inches of snow and cool weather, you might be able to get these super efficient heat pumps that will reduce potentially power costs or your power consumption by 30%. So innovation is one of the bedrock of what cooperatives do. So I'm going to try now and kind of wrap this up by saying the statewide organization, working with all its members, is really focused on managing costs and bringing out all the tools that we have. We do that by virtue of these long-term planning, but we can't do it without you all because we are not-for-profits that are owned by you, and as I like to say, from the members, for the members, and of the members. Again, I'd like to thank you all. I am honored to have been a participant and be able to provide some remarks, and hopefully next time Amy will give me more than 5 minutes. Thank you very much.
Role and to make co-ops better and better all the time. And now I'm going to turn the program over to our CEO and General Manager, Jake Joplin.
Thank you, President Locke. Appreciate being here tonight. And now's a great time of the program where, and it's right up there with giving away that beautiful F-150 out front. But we're going to be giving away 5 scholarships for $4,000 to deserving students that are leaders in the community and in their schools. And this is all made possible from Operation Roundup and the money that is donated for our membership. and we certainly appreciate the members participating in that program. So our first, since 2000, the foundation has given away over $540,000 to 130 deserving students. Thank you. And helping to present the awards tonight is Leanne Jones, our billing manager, and Mr. Ryan Taylor, who is our foundation director. Thank you, Leanne and Ryan. Our first recipient tonight is Bailey Salter. Bailey attends West Carteret High School, and in the fall she will be attending the University of North Carolina in Business Administration. Congratulations, Bailey. Our second recipient is from Havelock High School, and that is Miss Christian Drone. This fall, Christian will attend NC State University, majoring in zoology and pre-track in veterinarian. Congratulations, Christian. Our next recipient is Skylar Bordeaux from East Carteret High School. Skylar will also be attending University of North Carolina State in the fall, majoring in architecture. Congratulations, Skylar. Our next recipient is Lindry Clifton. Lindry will be attending Randolph-Macon College this fall. She will be majoring in economics and pre-law. Lindry is unable to join us tonight. She is playing a soccer game. Tonight is Croatan High School's women's soccer night, so congratulations, Lindry. And our final scholarship this year is Carolina Clear from Gramercy Christian School. Carolina. No, Carolina will not be going to the University of North Carolina, but sorry. She will be attending Mercer University this fall, majoring in kinesiology. And I had to Google that because I didn't know what that meant, but that is the scientific movement of humans. So congratulations, Carolina. And she is on a mission trip tonight, so she's not able to join us, but just to give how evident of her outstanding character, she is out on a mission trip, so we wish her the best. And we are so very proud of these students, their families, their schools, and we wish you all the best of luck in your future endeavors. Congratulations. Now each summer, each summer, Carteret-Craven Electric Cooperative joins the other cooperatives across this nation to send students on a youth tour up to Washington, D.C. And it's a lifetime opportunity to go to Washington, D.C., learn about our nation, meet the members of Congress, discuss issues that are impacting North Carolina, and explore the electric cooperative business model. So this year, CCEC has selected 2 stellar students to represent the cooperative on the youth tour. If you would, please come forward when I call your name. The first youth tour representative is Hayes Monson. Hayes is an 11th grader at Croatan High School. He's a member, get this, he's a member of Croatan's basketball, football, lacrosse, and wrestling. It'd probably be easier to name the things he's not in. But he also established a club to do beach sweeps here on the Crystal Coast. Unfortunately, Hayes was not able to be here tonight, but he wants to give his sincere thanks to Operation Roundup and the foundation for this opportunity. Our second youth tour representative is Jackson Sulzan. Jackson is a 10th grader at Croatan High School, a member of the DECA, and a member of the varsity tennis team, a scholar athlete, and has been recognized as an outstanding Cougar. Congratulations, Jackson. We hope that you all have a wonderful time in Washington, D.C., and applications will open for next year's in August, so be on the lookout for that. Also, to support sportsmanship and team building, CCEC awards 3 scholarships for local students to attend summer collegiate basketball camps. And this year, we have selected 1 young man to attend the Carolina basketball camp in Chapel Hill and 2 young ladies to attend the Wolfpack women's basketball camp. We would now like to recognize the winners of this year's All-Star Cooperative Sports Camps. The first recipient, and helping me provide those awards tonight, will be Melissa Glenn. Melissa Glenn is our Director of Communications. Our first recipient tonight is Julie Williams. Julie's a 6th grader. Julie's a 6th grader from Newport Middle School, and she's on the principal's list and a recipient of the Extraordinary Citizens Award. She enjoys playing softball, flag football, and of course, basketball. Congratulations, Julie. The second recipient tonight of the NC State Women's Wolfpack Scholarship is Hunter Harris. Hunter is a 6th grade honor roll student at Moorhead Middle School. She's been recognized as a young author and the county-wide winner of the Daughters of Revolution's essay contest. In addition to playing basketball, Hunter also plays, both AAU and recreational basketball. Congratulations, Hunter. Now selected to attend this year's Carolina basketball camp is Taylor Struck. Taylor is a 6th grader from Beaufort Middle School, where he's an honor roll and a member of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. In addition to playing basketball at Beaufort, Taylor also plays AAU and recreational basketball also. Congratulations, Taylor. Now we have one final basketball scholarship tonight to give away, and this one's very special to us. This is the Daniel Gooch Memorial Scholarship. And Daniel was a big part of the cooperative. He passed away in 2023 unexpectedly. He worked in our warehouse. He was a warehouse man and he was a warehouse man and a material specialist. And Daniel was a huge part of our co-op, and he supported the crews every day, giving them materials and kept our offices in top-notch shape. And we miss him, and we dedicated this scholarship in his name. This year's recipient of the scholarship is like Daniel. He exemplifies kindness, responsibility, and also love for UNC basketball. Daniel was a big UNC basketball fan. Actually, me and him had several discussions about that. But this year's recipient is William Mace. William is a 5th grader from Moorhead City Elementary School, where he's on the principal's list and is a member of the Stars and Stripes Club, where he helps to lead school activities and also helps new students around the school, giving them a tour of the school. William plays recreational basketball, flag football. He's a member of the Cross Trails Outfitters Hunting and Fishing Club and One Harbor Church. He's an avid UNC basketball fan. Congratulations, Williams. We're very proud of each of these student athletes. We hope you have a great time at camp, and we'll be opening up opportunities for next year's camp on January 1st. Now, earlier our board president, Amy Locke, and statewide CEO, Amadou Falls, talked a little bit about innovation and long-term planning. Now, just to show how far we come, I'd like to take you back to the year 2000. And this is kind of when I got my start as a staff engineer here at the co-op. Didn't know which way the pole went into the ground. But, you know, I learned over time. But at that time, when a cold winter morning came, like what we had at the end of January with 16 inches of snow, we would go out and we would take what we called amp checks, amp readings across the system. If anybody's ever used the amp meter at their home, we were measuring the amount of current that flows through the lines. So what we do, we take that clamp, we put it on a long extendo stick, and we'd go up there and we'd raise it up, measure the amount of amps, electrons flowing through the line, and we'd bring it all down, we get together, and we look at what we were looking for, places where equipment or lines may be overloaded or imbalanced, and it was critical activity at the time. But just to give you an idea of how things have changed in those 20 years, because that just gave us one snapshot in time. But now, we do things a little different. We've really transformed how we monitor and we manage our electric system. We have electronic line sensors, advanced metering equipment, outage management systems, and advanced engineering modeling. We now have real-time data and predictive analytics at our fingertips. This means that we're no longer just responding to issues, we're able to go out and actively correct those issues before they occur. And the results speak for themselves. I think President Locke mentioned this earlier, that this year outages were just 48 minutes per member in outage time, which is top 18% of cooperatives. And the cooperatives employees today that served dinner and opened the doors and greeted you, they're the ones responsible for this outstanding achievement. Thank you. While vegetation and wildlife remains our leading causes of outages, we are addressing both with targeted right-of-way maintenance and system improvements, which you saw Brent in the video. He's doing a great job with our vegetation. But reliability is nothing we can take for granted. That's why in 2025, we have launched a system inventory where we're going out, we're inventorying our entire grid, making sure that we know all our assets and all our equipment that's out there on the grid. This is going to help us to adapt new technologies and also to be able to respond to outages. That way the line crews will know exactly what's out there in the field before they get to it. Equipment and materials. Going to make outage response even faster. We're also making critical infrastructure investments. This past year, we added an additional circuit at Emerald Isle substation that supports growth and redundancy. We also upgraded equipment at Pine Knoll Shores substation to make maintenance easier and to upgrade our equipment in the station for system protection. Across the system, we've replaced 1.5 miles of overhead lines, and we just completed a 4-mile upgrade in Cedar Island, which is going to greatly help with storm recovery in Cedar Island. Looking ahead to the latter part of 2026, we plan to complete that system inventory. We will also upgrade Havelock and Harlow substations with new equipment, new transformers. And we are rebuilding critical sections of our transmission line. The line that runs down Hibbs Road in Newport, and also the line that extends from Atlantic Beach to Pine Knoll Shores along Highway 58. We're going to upgrade those to expanding capacity and further strengthen reliability. Engineering will begin this year with hopefully construction in 2027. We focus on reliability and innovation, but just as important is cost and value to our membership. As cooperative employees, we live in these communities and which we serve, and we, like you, feel the challenges that Amadou discussed earlier. That's why our cooperative is focused on achievable measures, long-term planning, effective long-term planning. But even with effective planning, the cooperative's costs continue to rise. The cost of generation and transmission to meet the new demands on the system, and also the cost to get power to you, our members. Just an example of that is a bucket truck that 2 years ago we purchased for $250,000. They are expensive, and now they're closer to $500,000. And that's stock truck, no bells and whistles. We are, and this is why we operate as a cooperative on a cost of service structure. We don't collect extra revenue from our members to provide returns, but we do need to collect enough to adequately, effectively serve our membership. That's why we are in the midst of completing a cost of service study and a rate study. The goals of these studies to ensure that our rates align between rate classes and also that the rates that we charge our members meet the actual cost of providing service to our members. We understand the discussion of rates is important, and we are working to go through the process with transparency and care. And we'll continue, as we go through the process, we'll continue to keep you informed, and we are looking for results to be back later in the summer, and we will be letting the membership know those results. But in all these efforts, our investments in technology, infrastructure, planning are guided by a single purpose, and that is to serve our membership. And we sincerely do appreciate the opportunity to serve our membership. And if there are any questions, concerns, please come by and see us. We're in Newport on Highway 24. We're in Havelock and McCarter Boulevard. Stop by and talk to us. And we appreciate the opportunity to get to connect with you, our members. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jake. And now we're going to continue with a little bit more business items on our agenda. And for that, I'm going to turn the program over to our attorney, Jamie Norman, who is now acting chairman.
Thank you, President Locke. As temporary chair, I will preside over the director elections. This year, you are electing 3 directors. Directors are elected to staggered terms to help ensure continuity from one year to the next. A director's term is 3 years long, and qualified members can be nominated in 2 ways. First, the nominating committee can nominate individuals, and second, the co-op's members can nominate someone with a petition. The nominating committee is appointed by the board of directors and is made up of 2 people from each district whose primary residences are in that particular co-op district for election. Sue Hammond is this year's acting committee chair and is recognized now to present the committee report and submit its nominations to the members. Ms. Hammond.
Thank you, Attorney Norman. The nominating committee met on February 18th. Appointed to serve on the committee with me were Karen Willis, Luther Tootle, David Bryant, Paul Gainey, Clifford Rice, and Billy Tillman. I will now read to you the nominees for director. For District 6, Doug Fulcher. For District 7, Suzanne R. Guthrie. And for District 9, Alvin West.
Thank you, Ms. Hammond. Now that the nominating committee has completed its report, we turn to the election of directors and the work of the Credentials and Elections Committee. The Co-op's Credentials and Elections Committee is responsible for the registration of voting members, determining if a quorum is present, and overseeing the election. Also, when an election is contested, the Credentials and Elections Committee counts the votes and rules on any election process irregularities. Members appointed to serve on the committee this year are Richard Buslovich, Thomas Dell, George Hill, Ron Howard, Sheila Moore, Anthony Nelson, Bob Peoples, Amy Starnes, Liberty Willis, David Wilson, and Scott Yaginski. Thank you all for your service. According to the co-op's bylaws, when the number of nominees does not exceed the number of directors to be elected, the directors are actually elected when the co-op secretary casts 1 ballot for each nominee. This year, there were no contested board races. Therefore, I now recognize Board Secretary Alvin West to cast ballots for the nominees. Secretary West?
Mr. Chairman, as Secretary of the Cooperative Board, I cast 1 vote for each of the uncontested candidates, Doug Fulcher, Suzanne R. Guthrie, and myself, Alvin West.
Thank you, Secretary West. Without objection and the election appearing to have complied with the co-op bylaws, I declare that the ballots have been properly cast. Doug Fulcher, Suzanne Guthrie, and Alvin West have been duly elected as directors of the co-op. The directors' terms will begin at the next meeting of the co-op's board of directors. These election results are referred to the Credentials and Elections Committee for final certification. The election is now concluded, and I relinquish the chair to President Locke. Thank you.
So that's going to conclude the business part of our agenda, and it's going to be time to move on and do some prizes. But before we do the prizes, I have to entertain a motion to adjourn. So do I hear a motion? Good. And is there a second? All in favor say aye. Do I need to even bother asking for a no? No, okay, that's what I figured. All right, so then I'm going to ask Shannon Harris to come up. Shannon is one of our outstanding customer service representatives and also the Relay for Life team chair.
It's right. This year, I want to thank you guys for buying a 50/50 raffle ticket. I think this is the most we've ever had. The winning ticket will get $1,192. So that's good. Thank y'all for supporting Relay. I'm gonna let you draw.
Okay.
Okay.
It's me! I win!
There you go. Just kidding.
No, just kidding. All right, the number is 245274. No, you can't even. We got one. All right, I promise. 245274.
Come on down.
All righty. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Before moving on to the other cash drawings, the other drawings, I'd like to again thank the employees of Carteret-Craven Electric Cooperative for what they do for the cooperative, their hard work and dedication. Now for the prize drawings. So we'll go ahead and we'll start with the big ones. Let's go ahead and start with the drawings for the 6 months electricity and the retired pickup truck. So we're going to make everybody wait until the end for those. But we do have some cash prizes we're going to give away. Helping to distribute those prizes are our cooperative employees. All right, so let's go ahead and draw for some cash prizes, $75 each. All right. First big winner, 028.
Yay!
Up top. Congratulations, sir. All right, next winner is 216. 216. All right, up top. Congratulations. Thank you, Michelle. Got number 118. 118. Oh, congratulations. Thank you, Cheryl. 292. Is there number 292? Got way up top. Thank you, Kelly. Got number 281. 281? All right, right here in the back. Congratulations, sir. Thank you, Tara. No, right there in the back, right on the bottom. 518. 518. 18. Is there a 518 in the house? We going again? I'm sorry. Where? All right, we're drawing again. 349. 349. Is there a 349? 171. 171. Right there. Thank you, Rex. 098. 098. I thought I heard somebody. Right here? Up top. Up top. Congratulations. Thank you. 570. 570. Oh, right here. Right here on the third row. Thank you, Christian. 356. 356. Oh, right here in the front. Congratulations. Thank you, Gunnar. 430. Is there a 430? Where's Ken going? Is there a 430? Oh, in the back. There you go. Congratulations, sir. 564. All right. You're here in the front. Thank you, Tim. 179. 179. 79, right there. Thank you, Rob. 421. 421. Thank you, Teresa. 421. There you go. 160. Is there 160? All right, over here on the right. Congratulations. Yes, thanks, sir. All right, 408, 408, 408. Is there 408? There you go, Brent. 408. Talk to him about right away. 154. 154. And they're in the back. 148. 148. Right in the back. Congratulations. And last one is 009. 009. Okay, congratulations. Now, our representatives, Carolina Country, could not be here tonight, but I know they do fine work with the magazine. Enjoy their recipes. We have a $100 gift card that they have provided us from Carolina Country. And that will be going to 018. 018. Here in the front. Thanks, Cheryl. All right, we're down to the last two. So we've got 6 months of electricity. Number 016. 016. Yeah, congratulations. And the final drawing for that F-150 truck, 412, 412. All right, congratulations. Thank you for coming tonight. God bless and have a good night. Thank you.